I'm going to start with you here, Caitlin. You said you might be aggressive on the trade market once this opened up. Is there any player that you're looking to get to? And remember, it has to be apples to apples trade here. Starter for starter, reserve for reserve. The good news is you can't go wrong with this type of talent. Anyone looking to make a deal here?
To be completely honest, I love my team. I think they're great. I don't have any intentions of really trading any of them. I don't know if this is in the rules. I don't really care. But I think we've already discussed we are going to trade coaches. Fee's going to take her coach, Sandy Brondello. Let's get it.
Oh.
It's going to be amazing. Sorry, WNBA, if that's not in the rule. Sorry, ESPN, if that's not in the rules. But we just made it a rule.
Now.
So, Sandy Brondello, come on over.
Whoa.
Let's get to it. You can coach Sabrina. So, therefore, maybe Stewie wants to come on over to my team.
Whoa.
Let me know. Fee, you want to give me Stewie?
We have breaking news here. I don't know that I've heard of a coach being traded in the All-Star game. This is something that you're agreeing to, Fee. There's no terms to this deal.
I agree with Cheryl. I agree with the trade. I love Cheryl. She's my coach here. And you know what? That's just going to be worse for Team Clark because now we got more chemistry on our side. We got more synergy. We know what we expect from each other. So that was a bad move on your part, Caitlin. We're taking you down.
According to multiple insiders, Caitlin Clark's latest move, rumored to involve a potential trade or distance from Team USA, has revealed her true feelings about Cheryl Reeve, the long-standing coach of the U.S. women's national team and a dominant voice in the WNBA. What happened behind the scenes? Why is Caitlin Clark's name suddenly swirling in trade talk? And how did things between her and Cheryl Reeve become so tense so public?
Just feel things again. I think, I don't know what type of minutes I'm going to get, will look like, but just when I'm out there, compete, play hard. This is going to be a team that's going to be moving constantly. So just being aware and active, bring energy. I think that, it's obviously hard sitting out and watching for a few weeks. So I'm definitely excited to get back out there.
Behind the scenes, whispers grew louder. This wasn't just a disappointing decision. It felt like a message. Cheryl Reeve, the architect of Team USA and a WNBA powerhouse in her own right, reportedly saw Clark as a disruption to her veteran-led system. Too new, too popular, too fast. The official reason: team chemistry and defensive gaps. But to many, those sounded like excuses, a polite way of saying Clark didn't fit the mold. And for Caitlin, who brought millions of new fans to women's basketball, who's filled arenas and changed the conversation, the exclusion stung, not because of ego, but because after everything she's done for the game, she was still being treated like an outsider. And that frustration, it wasn't just about the roster, it was about who gets to lead this new era of the WNBA and who gets left behind. And that's where everything changed, because to Clark's fans and even some league insiders, Reeve's explanation didn't hold water. Defensive concerns, chemistry. This wasn't just any player, this was the most electric talent the women's game had seen in decades. Clark didn't just fill seats, she transformed the spotlight. She became the reason people tuned in. So when a coach as experienced and respected as Cheryl Reeve chose to sideline that kind of momentum, it didn't feel like strategy, it felt personal. It felt like a warning shot to the future, that no matter how bright you shine, there are still gatekeepers guarding the throne. And in that moment, Caitlin Clark wasn't just left off a team, she was left out of the system.
Last year, Coach Cheryl Reeve had a few things to say about Caitlin Clark on Twitter. This was one of the exchanges. Cheryl Reeve tweeted about a preseason game and how the Lynx weren't going to be playing and that the Lynx game, wasn't going to be televised. And so somebody commented, they said, is there a reason why it's not being shown? And someone else commented and they said, because they only care about Caitlin. And Cheryl Reeve tweeted and she said that part. So she was replying to that, obviously insinuating something about Caitlin. A lot of people felt like this was very unprofessional for a coach to be engaging in the fan commentary and especially calling out one single player that has nothing to do with the reason why the Lynx game was not televised, why their preseason game wasn't on television.
And now comes the real shocker. Insiders say Caitlin Clark's camp has started quietly exploring her future, not just with Team USA, but with the Indiana Fever itself. Whispers are growing louder that Clark may be considering a way out, not because of her team, but because of something much bigger. A system, a power structure, one that seems more interested in controlling her than celebrating her. And at the heart of it, she sees Cheryl Reeve not just as a coach, but as the face of that resistance. People close to Clark say she felt blackballed, excluded, muted. boxed in not because of performance, but because of how fast she's changed the game. The trade rumors, they're not just business, they're personal. If Caitlin Clark does make a move, it won't just shift a roster, it'll shake the foundation of the league itself. The growing tension between Caitlin Clark and Cheryl Reeve goes far beyond basketball. It's the clearest sign yet of a generational divide tearing through the heart of the WNBA. Cheryl Reeve represents the old guard, a respected architect of championship culture, loyalty, and long-term grind, who earned their spotlight through silence, sacrifice, and time. For Reeve, leadership is earned slowly, respect is built, not given. She values chemistry, discipline, and proven success.
Cheryl Reeve was the head coach of Team USA last year, and of course, they did not select Caitlin Clark. They did not bring her to the Olympics. And so with all of that, Caitlin said, you know what? Why don't we trade coaches, Fee? You can have your own coach, and I'll take Sandy. And Fee was okay with that. It seemed like something they agreed upon before the draft, but that was a little juicy moment, and I'm glad it happened. A lot of fans are glad it happened.
But then came Caitlin Clark, a storm the league didn't just overlook, it underestimated. She didn't quietly climb the ranks. She kicked the doors down. In college, she didn't just play, she dominated. Logo threes, no-look passes, game winners on national television. She turned Iowa into a spectacle and every arena into a sellout. And when she made the leap to the WNBA, she didn't come in as a rookie, she came in as a revolution. Her arrival wasn't just about stats, it was about impact. She brought millions of new fans, national endorsements, primetime TV deals, and the kind of media frenzy the league had never seen before. Suddenly, networks were fighting for broadcasting rights. Merch was flying off the shelves. People who had never watched a WNBA game in their life were tuning in for her. She didn't just bring a highlight reel, she brought a movement, a brand, a voice, a style that didn't ask for permission, it demanded attention. Her game was sharp, her confidence louder than most, and her presence impossible to ignore. And that, to many in the old guard, was a problem.
She's gonna have to show something. Again, a team with talent can get up for a game against the Liberty, the Lynx. Oh, that we won the Commissioners against the Lynx. Look, against the great team, even the Aces, they knew. Asia Wilson, let's jump in here and ball out. At times, this game is one of them, unprepared to play. At home with all of those fans, it was an embarrassment. It was. Yeah.
Because the WNBA and coaches like Cheryl Reeve were built on loyalty, tradition, and the slow burn of earning your spot. Their blueprint for greatness was built over time, through grind, sacrifice, and silence. Players like Diana Taurasi and Breanna Stewart weren't handed the spotlight, they had to chisel their names into it. So for someone like Clark to show up and instantly be crowned the face of the league, to them, it didn't just feel rushed, it felt dangerous. To Cheryl Reeve, Clark may symbolize a kind of chaos, a spotlight too bright, too soon, a challenge to the quiet structure she spent decades building. But to Clark's generation, and to millions of new fans, she's not chaos, she's clarity, a necessary disruption, proof that women's basketball can be loud, bold, unapologetic, and wildly successful. And that's the real story here. This isn't just about whether Clark made the Olympic team, or whether she's ready for the crown. This is about a power shift, a changing of the guard, a league at a crossroads, torn between honoring the veterans who built it and embracing the star who might just take it further than anyone ever imagined. So now, the WNBA is staring at a mirror, and what it sees reflected back isn't just Caitlin Clark the player. It sees Caitlin Clark the symbol of a new era, of a new kind of superstar, and the league must now decide, evolve, or resist, build with her, or try to contain her. Because one thing is clear, the future of women's basketball is already here, and it's wearing number 22. So where does this leave the WNBA? One word, divided. On one side, you have the traditionalists, fans and insiders who say Cheryl Reeve made the right call, that she's protecting team chemistry, honoring the vets who built this league, and keeping things grounded while the spotlight burns hot. They argue that greatness takes time, and Caitlin needs to wait her turn. But on the other side, a growing wave of fans, young, energized, and passionate, who believe Clark wasn't just snubbed, she was punished. Punished for being too popular, too marketable, too important to ignore. And now, with whispers of Clark's camp exploring options, possibly looking for a fresh start, a new city, or a bigger voice, the stakes couldn't be higher. Because this isn't just about a roster or a team, this is about the identity of the league itself. If Caitlin Clark walks, or even hints at walking, the ripple effect could be massive. Ticket sales, media deals, fan loyalty, all riding on how the WNBA chooses to move forward. The league is growing fast, but now it must answer the hardest question of all: does it want to protect the past or embrace the future? This isn't just a story about a roster snub or trade whispers, it's a story about power, identity, and respect. It's about how the WNBA handles the most talked about player in its history, and whether the league is ready to grow with her or hold her back. Caitlin Clark versus Cheryl Reeve might look like a feud between two personalities, but underneath that surface is something far deeper, a battle for the soul of the league. Is this about protecting tradition or resisting evolution? Was Clark disrespected or simply told to wait her turn? These aren't just questions about one player, they're questions about what kind of future women's basketball is building. So now, we turn it to you. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want the truth behind the WNBA's biggest rivalries, roster drama, and power moves, don't forget to subscribe, because this is only the beginning.